Hi, dear Flared users. Here I am with this video in which I want to show you how to hack the value of Flared, because I don't know if you already have seen this video that I've made to show how Flared works and how EV works. In this video I've used Flared to make this lens flare. There are some mistakes that I've made. I think I can talk about them in another video, but what I did is I modified it more than you can do using this interface, that is the user interface that we have developed for you. I wanted a different effect from the templates that I had and from what I can done from here, and so as I am the creator of this project, I can modify it much more than this panel can do. And I want to show you for the ones of you who wants to have these skills, I want to show you how to do. So I will show you how is flare composed, how are the materials composed, and what you can do sometimes to make a better flare or to make a flare more similar to your needs. Okay, so let's start from this project. Here is the project in Blender. We are in the camera view, and so we can see the lens flare here. Okay, this flare is based on a simple flared. This flare was a simple flared in the origin. Then I made some hard modifications. As you can see here, there are two flares, but the one is a mistake, as I've done a lot of things on this scene and I made a lot of different experiments. This is something that shouldn't be here, but I cannot remove it because I made something too wrong, I think. So this is the simple flare. You can recognize it because here is SIM, that stands for simple. And I will save a preset of it, so I will record inside Blender all these values in a way that I cannot lose them. To do this, I will click on this plus button and I will add a flare preset. Okay, requires a name. Let's start with the name of the flare so that we don't make confusion, and I will call it something like relay race. That is the name of this video. Okay, so here now is the preset, and when I open a new simple flare, if I recall this preset, everything will appear like is it now. Okay, so what I got to do now is to remove this flare. I will remove it and start with a new flare. Okay, so now there's no lens flare. The object which will attach the flare is this one, that is our sun, and so I will add a simple flare to it. Okay, boom! This is how the simple flare appears when we open it for the first time in this scene. Let's try to recall these values. Okay, this is more intense and is as I wanted, but it's not the one we used before. It seems to be the same. Seems to be exactly the same. I was sure I made some custom modification, but now I cannot see them. Okay, it's not a problem. This is something that happened in my mind. I was sure I've made some deep modifications to this flared, but it's not like that. Anyway, it's not a problem. We will do it anyway. As you can see, when I add a flare to an object, a light source or an object or an empty, there's no difference. You can use whatever you want to attach a flare. The add-on creates you a new collection that is called flared, and with the name of the object that is attached to it. Attached is parented, okay, because if I move this light source, the flare will react to it. In this collection that you can close, because there are tons of objects inside it, and you shouldn't modify them if you don't know what you are doing. Now I will show you how to modify them and to know something about them. For nature, for default, they are not selectable, but from here, if you take this icon, if you turn off this icon and these other icons, you'll have the chance to select all these objects that are not selectable. So I will make them all selectable, and in this way I can select what I want. These elements are structural, you don't need them. These other elements are visible elements, so you need to modify these elements that are called glow, hoop, iris, reflect glow, reflect streak, RGB flash. All these elements are part of the flare that you can see. Let's see what we are going to modify activating this icon. If I click on glow, I have these elements in view, but we don't need to use the glow, because glow, we have the scale here. As you can see, we modify the dimension of this element, and we have the emission here. In this way we are modifying the global emission of this material. You don't have to touch the glow or the glow light. You'll have to work on the iris. This is an iris. I see too much elements, I don't know how to remove. This is an iris. Okay, let's see which kind of material this iris has got. There are two materials. The first is transparent, we don't modify it, and the second is a materials with colors and other things. Okay, as flared is really complex, if you don't know how it works, I'll suggest you not to modify at all these nodes, because these nodes a lot of times has got these purple values that are values modified by the program, by the add-on. You don't have to modify them by hand here in this place. I have to say that this is the version of Flared that you will receive soon, that is working on the Blender 2.81. So the materials are different from the version that you have now, that is the version for 2.80. The last part of the material is changing, and this is the part that I want to show you, that can give you some more control or on all the elements of the flare. You'll have it in the next version that you're going to receive, I hope, till the end of this week. If it's not tomorrow, it will be the beginning of the next week, but as it is ready. I just need time to compile the emails and to send them to you. Here is a little thing that I want to say. Some of you has already got a key, a serial key to use to activate the Flared. Some of you don't have it. So if you already have the key, you'll have to use the key that you have to activate the new version of Flared that you will receive. If you don't have the key, you will receive a key to use from now to activate your versions of Flared, and you will have to use all lifelong, so don't lose your activation key. If you lose it, I can send it to you again, but it's better not to lose it. I will make another video talking about how to use the license, how many license do you have, and how to use the keys. Sorry, I don't want to talk in this video of this topic. Okay, we were working on this flare. As we have seen, this is the selected flare. All this node defines the colors that this flare have in time and in space, because you will have you will for sure have noticed that these flares changes color when you move the camera oh my god, or move the light source. This is possible because of all these nodes, but now we can think about the situation in which you don't want this purple flare here, because you don't want to see it. You cannot remove it from here, because from here you will go to touch a lot of elements at the same time when we are talking about ghosts or iris. We can call them as we want. So if you want to remove it manually, there are two options. You can deactivate it from here and also from the render, because if you don't deactivate from the render, I think that it will render somehow. Or maybe you just want it to be to have more less power or more power. So you can go here and modify this emission value to 0. It's not visible. You can push it very up if you want. This is the node that you could work without making troubles inside of Flared. You can always work on this final node. It's always at the end of the node composition, and it doesn't create problem to Flared. So now we have this flare very powerful. Maybe you just want to change the color of this little ring because you don't like it blue and you want it red. So you have to understand which element is this. I will click and click and click and click and click and click and click. Okay, this is the element iris 9. Okay, so this is his material, his complex 2. As you can see, there is always this node at the end in which you can modify just the intensity of this element without modify all the other elements. And all this iris a lot of times have this node map made in this way. I cannot explain you every node because we couldn't finish this tutorial in time, but I want just to show you the two most important nodes. There are color ramps. There are color ramps in each of these iris. There are always two color ramps. One is always red and the other has other color. The red one is the one that we're going to modify when we modify the global color. If you modify it, you can see that we're going to modify this one. Now it's green, or it could be blue. This one is the global color, so we don't care about this one. This one is the original color if there's no global color affection. Okay, so when the global color is influence to 0, you will modify the color of this element with this color ramp. Why there are many colors? These different colors will be used in... Okay, this element will change color when it changes position, because here is a position vector. So maybe that sometimes this element will be more pink, and some other times will be light blue. It depends on its position. So if you want to modify the color, you just have to modify this color, that is the one that is affecting is now, and make it red, much red as you want. There's no problem. This is a red color. It could be different if it changes position. It could be that it moves in this way, turning into gray, for example. So if you want, you can modify each element. I suggest you not to delete this color picker, I don't know how to call them, because the program make use of them, and if you delete one or add another one, maybe that you'll have an error. So pay attention to what you're doing here, because you can go over our beta testing of this program, and we cannot respond about what happens if you modify it. This is another graph that you can find in a lot of iris or ghosts, that defines the form of it. It's not like the form, but the intensity of the ring of the center. If we want a circle less detailed than this, we can modify this curve and have less detail. So this is smooth. Okay, we can have a smooth effect for this ring. You can do it modifying this element. I think that these two elements, the color, the form, and the possibility to change the intensity independently using this node, are very important to make different effects. And sometimes I find that these elements, these sliders, are not covering all the needs that the user can have. So this is not a real tutorial about how Flare is done, but maybe that this knowledge is useful to you, I hope. Remember that I really love that you write me for every needs. If you have suggestion about how to make this add-on better, or other things, so you can write me. I will be very happy to read your emails. Okay, I think that's all, and enjoy with Flared. Thank you for watching me. Bye bye.